Hi, darlings. Kate here from Juniper Editing and Creative. Welcome to Spine Blog's latest vlog episode, Get Published, Treating Your Writing Life as a Career. Bear with me, this is my first vlog episode on camera. I put on pants for you today. I know you can't see those. I'm not going to show you, but they're there and that makes a difference. So I wanted to talk to you person to person because this is an element of the writing life that doesn't get a lot of attention and time spent on it, and yet it's probably the most important part, maybe even the biggest secret. So we'll be talking about that today in terms of primarily short fiction and non-fiction, because it's an easier and quicker way to get published than just going right ahead with your book. So let's get started. As I say, this is my first video episode with my face, so I'm going to be referring to notes at times, and I'll try to be as cool as possible. So as I've said, this video is for all the writers out there who dream of becoming a published author. If you don't know me, my name is Kate Juniper. I'm the owner and editor-in-chief of Juniper Editing and Creative, and we're a boutique all-female editing house dedicated to helping women writers in particular achieve their publishing dreams. We work with women authors internationally, and we work to pitch their work to publishers, to literary agents, to acquisitions editors, as well as to journals and more. Now, it's safe to assume that as an ambitious writer, you are seeking to become one day a published author. And so many authors I work with come to me with a complete manuscript. They've written a book, and they want to work with an editor in order to polish it and to make it as good and as solid as possible in order to pitch it to publishing houses and literary agents. Now, for various obvious reasons, that's an incredible accomplishment. Writing a book is no small feat, but it does provide a lot of challenges if you decide to go this way in your writing career. So I want to encourage you to think about it in terms of any other kind of career. You know, maybe you put years of your time and energy into writing a book. You hire an editor and you're ready to go and pitch that book out into the world. But you know, when you spent that much time in isolation with your cup of coffee or your glass of wine, your cat, your children screaming downstairs, whatever it is, you have been doing so in obscurity. And so when it comes time to pitch your manuscript, to publish your book, to be a tantalizing offer to a publishing house or literary agent, no one knows who you are, and there's no evidence of you having been active in the writing world and the writing community before now. So it's very, very common in our culture at the moment to dream of being discovered. It's kind of one of the tropes of our common narratives. You know, we talk about love at first sight. We talk about the from rags to riches story. An artist, you know, painting in a basement suite somewhere is finally, you know, is discovered and becomes the prodigal son of the contemporary art world. Now, this is a very tantalizing and very tempting dream, but it's very rarely the reality. So the reality for most success stories is less romantic, but it is more attainable, and it's a lot more actionable. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is how you can get yourself out there, get your writing out there, hone your craft, and start building a name for yourself, rather than just waiting for someone to notice your brilliance after you've done a shit ton of work, but only on one major project. So we're going to think about this in terms of a more conventional career. When we think about it, and we're going to go big. So in terms of a CEO, no one waltzes into a CEO position because that's what they've dreamed of doing all their lives. It doesn't matter how charismatic you are, you need a lot more than the desire to do a job in order to achieve it. So now sub out CEO for best-selling author. You know, the publishing world, just like the company that you want to work for and manage, it has standards, it has expectations, and it has gatekeepers. And so to be successfully welcomed into that fold, 99% of us have to earn it. And we have to go about doing that in a kind of a building block kind of a way. So in career terms, this means humble beginnings. Probably all of us out there, including CEOs, started in a retail job or as a server, or as one of my family friend CEOs started out in a chicken farm in West Wales. So it starts with humble beginnings. You take that opportunity, you gain experience, you build relationships, you receive critique and feedback. Perhaps you gain an ally or two. You build that skill set, and then you move on. Hopefully to something a little bigger and a little better. And you repeat that process. Hopefully not 1,000 times before you find yourself where you have originally dreamt of going, or maybe somewhere entirely different. That also happens a great deal. So the same goes for your writing career. So long as you're remaining obscure, you're not starting small, seeking that feedback, and growing your skill set, your craft, your prospects are limited. So how do we treat your writing career like the career that I've just described? What are the building blocks to getting published? So we can think about this in terms of a writing resume, just to carry on the metaphor of the working world. The more experience, success, and industry approval you have, the more will come right back to you. So just like any CEO in the making needs to test their mettle in the working world, probably in all kinds of various ways, so writers need to do the same. And first of all, what that requires is to write. Not just write that novel that you want to be known for one day, but to write smaller, more submittable, and also more throwawayable work. Not everything that you write is going to be of utter brilliance, and that's fine. That's just as it should be. Then once you've written, it's time to submit. So let's go from the very beginning of that process that we described. Starting humble. Now, there's a lot of different ways to start humble. In writing terms, obviously the very first step is to just write. Just make a habit of writing on a daily or a bi-daily or weekly basis. Set aside that time and start, to take yourself seriously as a writer. Even as a hobbyist writer, if you have these aspirations for a career as a professional writer down the line, it's time to start changing that mindset and treating your writing as a priority and something that you want to excel at by practicing and improving. So once you've done that, let's talk about the humble beginnings. You can submit to small journals and small publications, as well as the big, juicy ones that we probably all think about submitting to right away. Seek out genre-specific publications. If you write fantasy, high fantasy, or sci-fi, or horror, or erotica, if you're writing in these genres, then there are a lot of publications out there dedicated to showcasing work just exactly from that genre, and you're obviously more likely to gain a dedicated readership by doing it that way too. Enter contests, large and small, and seek out calls for emerging writers. So we're going to look at the Master's Review. Now, the Master's Review is a rather large organization. It's a very, very highly reputed journal that publishes some incredible authors and writers. Applying to their larger contests is definitely something that you're going to be doing higher up in the building blocks or the pyramid of your writing process and career. But they have a section called New Voices, and this is, just as it sounds, it's a competition for new writers, for emerging writers. So this is an opportunity for you to gain get published by a very, very highly reputed journal, but actually stand a chance of winning that opportunity. So many journals out there, many magazines online and in print, have emerging writer competitions, contests, and parts of their magazine that you can submit to. So as well as your genre-specific stuff, also look for things in this realm. You can also submit to your local magazines or get really, really niche and go for specific imprints and anthologies. Potentially, even just the person that you are, you might have a very niche reading audience just ready to gobble up what you're reading. For instance, say you're a queer woman of color, that automatically places you within a demographic that is eager to hear your words, eager to read your work, not least because you remain for the moment in a minority voice, something that's being more and more celebrated and more broadly published. So consider how you and your voice, your work, and the experiences that you're writing about and that you embody as a very particular person, how those things, elements might lend themselves to getting published and who you submit to. So when you receive rejection letters, and I'm afraid to say that you inevitably will, consider them trophies of participation and as milestones in your development. Everybody gets rejected in terms of the writing realm, and if you're lucky, people will write your rejection. Some of the places that you submit to will provide with their rejection some explanation of why. So accept that critique, accept that feedback, and accept it gratefully, because it takes a lot of time and effort for people to provide that feedback. And if you're getting that kind of critique and feedback from places that you're submitting to, it may very well be because they want you to try again. So listen to that feedback and implement it where you can. Workshop. Read your work at open mics. Join a writer's circle, or ask your trusted friends or people that you know and whose reading tastes you trust to give you feedback. These are great free ways of developing your craft and getting a more objective idea of the strengths and weaknesses of your writing. And once you win a prize or get published in one place, you're instantly more desirable to other places. So, consider that the more competitions, contests, journals that you submit to, the more likely you are of getting published by one of them. And once you get published by one, it's often tends to be a lovely domino effect where you are then so much more enticing to the next publication. So if you have submitted before, let me see if I can. This is the Master's Review again. This is a flash fiction contest, a very, very accessible way of entering your writing into contests. It's a 1,000-word write-up. It's not the 10,000 words or the 8,000 words of a short story. So when you do submit to contests and just to be published, you'll notice that when you go to submit, you're asked for a cover letter. And a lot of people new to this process, their cover letter, you're asked to include a short biographical statement. Most people think of this as the opportunity to describe, their cute writing setup, or how they've written for their whole lives, or that they write with their cat, Edgar Allan Poe, each evening. This is not really what the recipient of your submission wants to hear. They want to read about your previous successes. So much like a cover letter for a job, where you're highlighting the best and most applicable parts of your resume, this cover letter should include any writing successes that you have enjoyed so far in your career. So obviously, if you don't have any of those experiences yet, that's fine. You can mention your cat too. But this is definitely an opportunity and a very important place to put any of those publishing successes once you start to attain them. And if you're serious about being a professional writer, then don't just share your successes with the journals and the publications that you're submitting to. Share them with your wider community. Make your work visible to the world. So this is an emerging writer's website. His name is Nick Fuller-Guggens, and I encourage you to read his work as an excellent benchmark, in fact, for the kinds of work, the sophistication of work that is published by these really high-end publications. He recently won the Master's Review Short Story Award for New Writers, and that's actually how I came across his work, and I was humbled by the quality and sophistication of this story, and it led me to read more of his work on this website. When you do start to find yourself getting warm receptions of your work, make your name, make your work accessible to the world. Make it so that people can contact you. Eventually, once you start getting published in certain places, people may very well start reaching out to you to ask for a similar, to provide you with those opportunities without you even asking and paying for it. So celebrate and be vocal about your successes. Analyze why your successes were successes, and consider how you can apply those to your next piece of writing. So in the end, being a professional writer is a lot less like being a CEO and a lot more like being an entrepreneur. You've got to put in the work. You've got to be receptive to continual learning and evolution. You have to assess, modify, and reapply the tactics that work, and leave behind the stuff that doesn't. And you have to be diligent about building your network and putting yourself and your writing out there in the world for people to notice. So this is the reality for professional creatives today, writers included. The beauty of this, while it may not be as perhaps effortless or romantic or as exciting as being, picked up off the street as the next big thing, it's eminently more attainable with hard work and consistent effort and dedication. For many creative professionals, their dreams really do come true, and you get the added satisfaction of knowing that you did it all by yourself. All right, I think that's about it for now. Thank you for joining me and for listening to me talk about this really important subject. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again soon.